In 2015, a Chinese scientist named Tu Youyou won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for discovering a compound in a common garden plant. This plant, called sweet wormwood or Artemisia annua, has saved millions of lives from malaria and shows promising results against cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. Yet today, the World Health Organization explicitly warns against using it. Major health authorities discourage Americans from growing or consuming this plant, even though it won the world's highest scientific honor. In this video, I'm sharing the complete story behind this Nobel Prize-winning plant, what it does, why it works, and the real reasons behind the medical warnings that affect your healthcare choices. If you want clear, evidence-based health information without the confusion, this channel is for you. I post calm, practical health insights like this every week. Let's get into it. The ancient medicine that won a Nobel Prize. This discovery matters because it solves one of humanity's deadliest health crises, and it came from ancient wisdom that modern science almost ignored. The story begins in 1967 during the Vietnam War. Malaria was killing more soldiers than combat itself. Modern pharmaceutical drugs were failing and resistance was spreading rapidly across Southeast Asia. The Chinese government launched a secret research project called Project 523, recruiting scientist Tu Youyou to find a solution. Instead of creating new synthetic drugs in laboratories, she made an unusual decision. She turned to traditional Chinese medical texts dating back to 340 AD. One ancient formula mentioned sweet wormwood, Artemisia annua, for treating intermittent fevers, a classic symptom of malaria. Tu and her team began testing the plant, but here's the critical detail that changed everything. When they boiled the plant using conventional extraction methods, the results were inconsistent and disappointing. Some batches worked, others didn't. The team was ready to give up. Then Tu remembered something specific from a 1,600-year-old text written by physician Ge Hong. He warned against using high heat when preparing the remedy. She switched to low-temperature extraction using ether on October 4, 1971, and successfully isolated artemisinin, a compound showing 100% effectiveness against malaria parasites in laboratory testing. But animal studies weren't enough. Someone needed to prove it was safe for humans. Tu Youyou volunteered to be the first human test subject, taking the experimental drug herself before any patients received it. The results were extraordinary. All 21 patients in the initial clinical trial recovered completely from malaria infections that pharmaceutical drugs couldn't touch. By the 1980s, artemisinin-based combination therapies became the global standard for treating malaria. The World Health Organization now estimates that artemisinin-based drugs have reduced global malaria mortality by over 20%, saving more than 100,000 lives annually in Africa alone. In the United States, the CDC recommends artemisinin-based drugs for treating severe malaria cases. This wasn't just another medical discovery. It proved that ancient herbal knowledge, when properly understood through modern science, could outperform pharmaceutical laboratories with billions of dollars in funding. Tu Youyou became the first Chinese woman to win a Nobel Prize in medicine, and she accomplished it without a doctorate degree, without foreign study experience, and without membership in any of China's national academies. She simply trusted ancient wisdom and had the scientific skill to unlock its secrets. The discovery sparked a fundamental question in modern medicine. If a common garden plant contains compounds this powerful, what else have we dismissed or overlooked? And if traditional medicine got this right 1,000 to 600 years ago, why are health authorities now warning us not to use it? What makes this plant so medically powerful? Understanding how this plant actually works in your body reveals why it's effective against multiple serious health conditions, not just one. Artemisinin works through a unique mechanism that targets cells with high iron content. Here's what happens at the cellular level. Malaria parasites require 5 to 15 times more iron than normal cells to sustain their rapid growth and reproduction. Cancer cells have the same characteristic. They hoard iron to fuel their aggressive division. When artemisinin enters your bloodstream and encounters these high iron cells, it reacts with the iron to create free radicals and oxidative stress that destroys the diseased cells while leaving healthy cells largely unaffected. Scientists call this process ferroptosis, iron-dependent cell death. It's a naturally selective attack mechanism. Recent medical research published in 2024 shows artemisinin and its derivatives demonstrate significant inhibitory effects against melanoma, breast cancer, lung cancer, colorectal cancer, and prostate cancer. A clinical trial from the United Kingdom found that cancer patients taking oral artemisinin were 80% less likely to experience recurrent colorectal cancer compared to the placebo group. Multiple research institutions in the United States are now investigating artemisinin as an adjunct therapy alongside conventional cancer treatments. For diabetes management, research demonstrates that Artemisia annua extracts reduced insulin resistance by improving lipid profiles and reducing inflammatory markers. The plant contains compounds that help regulate blood sugar levels and improve the body's response to insulin, which is particularly relevant for type 2 diabetes patients. And for heart health, a study published in Nature Scientific Reports showed artemisinin treatment protected against diabetic cardiomyopathy by reducing cardiac inflammation, oxidative stress, and tissue damage in the heart muscle. This matters because diabetic heart disease is one of the leading causes of death among Americans with diabetes. This single plant compound addresses 3 of the most common serious health concerns for people over 55: cancer risk, diabetes complications, and cardiovascular disease. That's why the medical research community continues studying it intensively, with hundreds of clinical trials investigating its potential beyond malaria treatment. The real reasons behind the medical warnings. The warnings from health authorities aren't about the plant being ineffective. They're about something entirely different that affects how medicine is practiced in the United States and globally. The World Health Organization issued an official position in October 2019 stating they do not support the use of Artemisia plant material in any form for preventing or treating malaria. The FDA echoes this position for American consumers. Their 3 main concerns are these. First, that widespread use of the whole plant could accelerate drug resistance because the artemisinin content varies significantly between plants depending on growing conditions, harvest timing, and preparation methods. Second, that inconsistent dosing from plant material might deliver subtherapeutic doses, meaning you'd get enough to pressure the parasites to evolve resistance but not enough to actually kill them. Third, that affordable pharmaceutical artemisinin-based combination therapies are already widely available through medical channels with standardized, reliable dosing. But here's what makes this position controversial in the scientific community. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that dried whole plant Artemisia annua was actually more effective than pure pharmaceutical artemisinin against drug-resistant malaria parasites. The research showed the whole plant killed resistant parasites 5 times more effectively than equivalent doses of purified artemisinin extracted and formulated as a pharmaceutical product. Even more surprisingly, the whole plant delayed the evolution of drug resistance, meaning it actually worked longer before parasites adapted to overcome it. Why would this be? Because the whole plant contains over 20 different bioactive compounds working together synergistically, not just isolated artemisinin. It's essentially a natural combination therapy, similar to how modern malaria drugs combine artemisinin with other compounds to prevent resistance. This creates a fundamental tension in modern medicine between pharmaceutical standardization, which medicine relies on for consistent dosing, quality control, and safety protocols, and the potential benefits of whole plant medicine that populations have used successfully for centuries. It's not a simple right or wrong answer. It's a complex policy decision that balances public health strategy, pharmaceutical economics, and scientific evidence. If you're finding this information valuable, give it a like. It helps YouTube share this with others who need evidence-based health information. And I'm curious, were you surprised to learn about the whole plant versus extracted compound debate? Or did you already know about artemisinin's Nobel Prize? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I actually read them and learned from your perspectives. The side effects and safety concerns you need to know. Being informed about actual documented risks, not hypothetical ones, helps you make educated healthcare decisions with your doctor. Clinical studies show that artemisinin derivatives used for malaria treatment are generally well tolerated, with serious adverse effects being rare in American patients. However, case reports have documented specific side effects that people, especially those over 55, should absolutely be aware of. Liver toxicity has been reported, particularly with some commercial artemisinin products. Health authorities in New Zealand issued warnings after some users experienced elevated liver enzymes and hepatitis. If you have any existing liver condition or take medications metabolized by the liver, this is a critical concern to discuss with your physician. Common mild side effects include nausea, stomach pain, dizziness, ringing in the ears, and temporary numbness or tingling in the hands and feet. These typically resolve after treatment ends. Delayed hemolytic anemia, a blood condition where red blood cells break down, occurred in some patients after artemisinin-based malaria treatment. This appears more common in cases with higher initial parasite loads. One safety trial with advanced breast cancer patients reported possible ototoxicity, meaning hearing problems and vertigo in several participants, though the treatment was otherwise well tolerated at the doses studied. Critical medication interactions exist that Americans need to understand. Pregnant women should absolutely not use artemisinin due to potential fetal abnormalities documented in animal studies. The FDA classifies it as pregnancy category C. Patients with diabetes taking blood sugar medications should only use artemisinin under direct medical supervision because it can affect glucose C levels. People with ulcers or gastrointestinal disorders need medical oversight. If you're taking blood thinners, immunosuppressants, or medications that affect liver enzymes like certain statins, antibiotics, or antifungals, artemisinin may interact with these drugs. At very high doses in animal studies, artemisinin showed potential neurotoxic effects, but this has never been demonstrated in human clinical trials at therapeutic doses used for malaria or in cancer research protocols. The safety profile suggests artemisinin can be used responsibly under proper medical guidance, but it's absolutely not something to self-prescribe, order online, or use casually, especially if you're taking other medications or have pre-existing health conditions. Bonus tip. Here's something most people miss when they hear about promising natural compounds, and it matters more than whether you ever use this plant. The artemisinin story reveals a pattern we see repeatedly in modern American medicine. Traditional remedies that worked for centuries get studied, scientifically validated, isolated into pharmaceutical products, and then the original whole plant gets discouraged, restricted, or in some cases made illegal. This isn't necessarily wrong. Pharmaceutical standardization genuinely saves lives through consistent dosing, quality control, and rigorous safety testing that the FDA requires. But it does mean that whenever you hear "don't use the plant, use our pharmaceutical version instead," you should ask yourself one question. Who benefits financially from that recommendation? The answer isn't always sinister, but it's always worth knowing. Pharmaceutical artemisinin products generate billions of dollars annually. The plant itself can be grown in your backyard for essentially free. That economic reality shapes policy discussions, medical guidelines, and research funding priorities in ways that aren't always transparent. That single question, who benefits financially, changes how you evaluate health advice without requiring more effort, just more awareness. It applies to artemisinin, and it applies to countless other natural compounds that show medical promise. The artemisinin story isn't just about one plant or one Nobel Prize. It's about how ancient wisdom and modern science can both be right and how healthcare decisions often involve balancing standardization, safety, accessibility, and financial interests. What matters most is that you have accurate information to discuss with your healthcare provider, not marketing messages or oversimplified warnings from organizations with complex incentives. If you found this helpful and want more clear, evidence-based health content that respects your intelligence, subscribe to Zero to Purpose. This channel is for Americans who want honest health information without the hype, confusion, or corporate agenda. Thanks for trusting me with your time. Your health decisions deserve better information, and that's exactly what we're building here. I'll see you in the next one.